Silent Hill 4: The Room was released by Konami on September 7, 2004, and it marked the final game produced by series veterans Team Silent. We've got 20 facts about characters, lore, and gameplay, so get ready. This is Silent Hill 4: The Room. Number 1. First-Person Sanctuary. Unlike previous titles, the apartment of Room 302 is explored in a first-person perspective to increase claustrophobia. It serves as the game's central hub for saving, healing, and storage. In the second half of the game, the safe apartment becomes haunted with spirits and paranormal phenomena, draining the player's health instead of restoring it. The game strictly limits inventory to 10 slots, forcing the player to frequently return to the apartment storage chest. Many puzzles will require the player to return to the apartment to change an item appearance in order to proceed. Number 2. Hauntings. Hauntings officially begin after you complete the hospital world, signaled by the ceiling fan in your living room collapsing. From this point onward, the apartment no longer automatically refills Henry's health. Standing near a haunting causes Henry to suffer a headache effect, and his health will continuously drain until he moves away. You can remove hauntings using 2 specific items. You can place holy candles on the floor near the haunting. It must burn down completely to successfully cleanse the area. You could also equip a saint medallion and stand near the haunting. The medallion's aura will slowly purify the space, though the item will eventually break after extended use. Number 3. Henry Townshend. Henry Townshend is often considered the most unique protagonist in the series because, unlike those before him, he has no dark secret or personal connection to the town. He's simply an average man who moved into the wrong apartment at the wrong time. Described by Konami as a reclusive and shy man in his late 20s, Henry barely knows his neighbors. His dialogue is often muted or repetitive, and he is a photographer by hobby, a profession that emphasizes observation over participation. Henry moved into Room 302 2 years before the game began, roughly 6 months after the previous tenant, Joseph Schreiber, mysteriously disappeared. Henry is the 21st and final sacrifice intended for Walter Sullivan's ritual. His role is to witness the events and deaths of others without being able to change them. Number 4. Eileen Galvin. As Henry's next-door neighbor in Room 303, she transitions from a background character into a vital partner during the game's second half. Eileen is designated as the 20th victim of the 21 Sacraments ritual. Unlike other victims who are chosen out of spite, Walter Sullivan selects Eileen because of her kindness. She was the only person to show him compassion when he was a homeless child by giving him a doll. Eileen's presence effectively turns the second half of the game into a massive escort mission. Her status directly determines which of the 4 endings you will receive. As Eileen takes damage or is left alone in rooms with monsters, she becomes increasingly possessed. You can track this visually. Her skin will become covered by a bloody, bruised aura, and she may begin to babble or act erratically. Number 5. Walter Sullivan. Walter Sullivan is the primary antagonist of Silent Hill 4: The Room, known as the 21 Sacraments Killer. He is a tragic and deeply disturbed figure whose entire existence is defined by his abandonment and the religious indoctrination of the Order. Walter was born in the very apartment Henry occupies now. His parents abandoned him there shortly after birth, leaving him with nothing but his umbilical cord. Raised in the cult-run Wish House orphanage, a young Walter was manipulated by Dahlia Gillespie, who told him his mother was asleep in Ashfield. This led Walter to believe that Room 302 itself was his mother. In Silent Hill 2, players can find an article about a man named Walter Sullivan who murdered 2 children, the Locane twins, and then killed himself in prison with a soup spoon. The same article mentions Walter's fear of a red devil, which Silent Hill 4 later reveals was Jimmy Stone, a cult executioner who wore a triangular hood similar to Pyramid Head's. Number 6. 21 Sacraments Ritual. The 21 Sacraments, also known as the Descent of the Holy Mother, is a ritualized series of murders designed by a sect of the Silent Hill cult. The cult manipulated a young Walter Sullivan, convincing him that completing these sacrifices would wake his mother, whom he believes was room 302 itself. The first phase required the blood and literal hearts of 10 sinners. These 10 hearts were found by Henry in the apartment's refrigerator in the other world. The second sign required a practitioner to offer their own lifeblood. After the massacre of Ashfield, Walter killed himself in his prison cell, which allowed his spirit to transcend the physical world and create his own nightmare realm. After his death, Walter continued the ritual as a ghost, targeting victims based on abstract themes. The last phase consists of 6 victims, several of whom Henry meets in the other world. If the ritual is completed, a news broadcast reveals that everyone in the building died, and the Holy Mother descends, which in reality is a catastrophic, parasitic entity that brings death rather than salvation. Number 7. Joseph Schreiber. Joseph Schreiber is the investigative journalist who lived in room 302 before Henry. He serves as a ghostly mentor and is the key to understanding Walter Sullivan's ritual. Joseph is the 15th victim of the 21 Sacraments. His ritual title is the Giver of Wisdom because he provides Henry, the receiver, with the knowledge and tools, specifically the Crimson Tome, needed to stop Walter. Long before Henry arrived, Joseph was investigating the Wish House orphanage and the Silent Hill cult. His expose on the activities is actually a readable item in Silent Hill 3. Many players don't realize that in the game's opening nightmare sequence you are actually playing as Joseph, not Henry. You can tell because if you examine the photo of Henry in the living room, the character asks, "Who is this guy?" Number 8. The Twin Victims. These creatures are physical manifestations of Walter Sullivan's 7th and 8th victims, Billy and Miriam Locane, 2 young siblings he murdered with an axe. They appear as 2 giant infant heads fused together, draped in a dirty, tattered smock. Instead of legs, they walk on 2 enormous adult-sized hands. When they first spot you, they will often stand perfectly still and point at you with a giant finger, whispering the word, "Receiver." Number 9. Frank Sunderland. Frank Sunderland is the superintendent of the South Ashfield Heights apartment buildings and a crucial link to the wider Silent Hill lore. Frank manages the building where Henry lives and is the one who eventually gives Henry the keys to the other apartment during the game's later stages. Frank is the keeper of the preserved umbilical cord belonging to Walter Sullivan, which he found in room 302 after Walter's parents abandoned him. This item is the only weapon capable of making the final boss, Walter, vulnerable to damage. Frank is the father of James Sunderland, the protagonist of Silent Hill 2. If you examine a photo in Henry's apartment, he mentions that Frank's son and daughter-in-law, Mary, went missing in Silent Hill several years prior and never returned. Number 10. Ghosts. In Silent Hill 4: The Room, ghosts are restless spirits of Walter Sullivan's victims. Unlike standard enemies, they are immortal and serve as a constant source of stalker horror throughout the game. You don't need to be hit by a ghost to take damage. Simply standing near one causes Henry to clutch his head in pain as his health rapidly drains. Ghosts cannot be killed. You can knock them down by dealing enough damage, but they will eventually stand up and resume the chase. While you can't kill them, you can neutralize them using rare items found throughout the game. The Sword of Obedience. There are only 5 of these in the entire game. If you stab a downed ghost with one, they are pinned to the floor permanently unless you pull the sword back out. Saint Medallions. Equipping a medallion protects Henry from the headache damage aura, though the medallion will gradually crack and break. Silver Bullets. These are extremely rare and will instantly knock down a ghost for an extended period of time, making it easy to pin them with a sword. Number 11. Endings. In Silent Hill 4, your fate is determined by 2 specific variables: how well you cleanse the apartment hauntings and how much possession damage Eileen took during the game. To reach the escape ending, clear at least 80% of the hauntings in room 302 and ensure Eileen survives the final boss fight. For the mother ending, fail to clear the hauntings over 80%, but save Eileen from the final machine. Eileen's death. Clear the hauntings over 80%, but fail to save Eileen. She walks into the spiked machine before you kill Walter. The 21 Sacraments ending. Fail to clear the hauntings and fail to save Eileen. For the first time in the series' history, there is no joke available after completion, so no dogs and no UFOs this time around. Number 12. Robbie the Rabbit. In Silent Hill 4, Robbie the Rabbit, the pink blood-mouthed mascot of Lakeside Amusement Park, is transformed from a background reference into one of the game's creepiest meta-commentaries on being watched. A large plush version of Robbie sits on the bed in Eileen's apartment. When Henry looks through the small hole in his wall to spy on Eileen's room, he sees Robbie sitting innocently. However, once Eileen is attacked and leaves the room, looking through the hole sometimes reveals Robbie pointing a finger directly at Henry, breaking the fourth wall and acknowledging the player's voyeurism. Number 13. Peephole. Because Henry is trapped in a parallel dimension, he can see his neighbors, but they cannot see or hear him, even when he bangs on the door. Each time a victim is murdered in the other world, a new bloody handprint appears on the wall outside Henry's door. You can track Walter's progress towards the 21 Sacraments by counting them. In the second half, the peephole itself can become haunted. If you look through it during certain times, you might see a ghostly version of Henry with disfigured skin on the other side, whispering deliriously. Number 14. The Hatchet. In Silent Hill 4 The Room, the hatchet, also referred to as the hand axe, is widely considered one of the best melee weapons in the game due to its balance of speed, power, and utility. You can find the hatchet early in the game within the building world. It is tucked away in a small office area on the B5 floor of the building. Because it is found so early, it often becomes a player's primary weapon for a significant portion of the playthrough. The hatchet's greatest strength is its charged overhead swing. This move provides several frames of invincibility during the animation, allowing Henry to tank through enemies' hits while delivering massive damage. It is exceptionally effective at knocking down common enemies like gumheads and sniffer dogs, making it easy to finish them off with a good stomp. Number 15. Soundtrack. Akira Yamaoka returns as sound director and composer. Lyrics were once again written by Joe Ramersa, and vocal tracks were provided by Mary Elizabeth McGlynn and Joe Ramersa. The vocal tracks in Silent Hill 4 The Room are a major departure from previous games, shifting towards a trance-like and rhythmic style while maintaining the series' signature melancholy. The Japanese release of the soundtrack included a unique second disc featuring an audio drama narrated by Teushi Ichiriusai. The disc contains 12 tracks named after the Japanese chromatic scale, blending traditional storytelling with Yamaoka's ambient music. Number 16. Birth and Motherhood. Because Walter was abandoned in room 302 immediately after birth, he grew to believe the apartment itself was his mother. Silent Hill 4 The Room uses birth and motherhood as its core psychological framework, primarily through the distorted perspective of Walter Sullivan. Because Walter was abandoned in room 302 immediately after birth, he grew to believe the apartment itself was his mother. His ritualistic murders are an attempt to wake the room so he can return to its safety. Henry entering and exiting the apartment through holes in the wall and floor is widely interpreted as symbolic of birth. Henry is often seen waking up in a fetal position after traveling through these fleshy, organic tunnels. Number 17. Cynthia Velasquez. Cynthia is a 29-year-old Spanish-American woman who frequently hung out at the South Ashfield subway station. She is the 16th sacrifice, representing temptation. When she first meets Henry, she is convinced she is in a terrible dream caused by drinking too much. She offers Henry a special favor if he helps her find an exit. Just as she finds a way out, she is brutally attacked by Walter Sullivan. Henry finds her dying with the number 1621 carved onto her chest. In her final moments, she apologizes for not being able to grant the favor, and Henry comforts her by telling her that it is indeed just a dream. Number 18. Jasper Gein. A decade before the game, Jasper and two friends, Bobby Randolph and Sean Martin, were drawn into the cult's mythology. While his friends were murdered by Walter Sullivan years ago, Jasper survived, but remained traumatized and obsessed with meeting the devil. Jasper is the 17th sacrifice, themed around Source. This likely refers to his vast knowledge of the Silent Hill cult and his role in providing Henry with the items and information needed to progress. His name is a nod to real-life serial killer Ed Gein. Jasper is eventually burned alive by Walter inside the Wish House orphanage. Rather than resisting, he appears almost appreciative, shrieking in his final moments that he has finally seen the Red Devil he spent his life searching for. Number 19. Andrew DeSalvo. Before the game, Andrew was hired as a watchman for the Wish House orphanage and the water prison. Although he wasn't a member of the cult, he was notoriously brutal, frequently beating the orphans and forcing them to drink water filled with leeches. Andrew was the guard most feared by a young Walter Sullivan. It is hinted in Walter's diary that Andrew may have been responsible for the disappearance or death of Walter's childhood friend Bob. Henry first meets Andrew locked inside one of the water prison cells. He appears pathetic and terrified, screaming for forgiveness from a young boy, the child manifestation of Walter, who is watching him. Shortly after Henry releases him, Andrew is captured by the adult Walter and drowned in a pool of blood in the prison's torture chamber. His body is found with 1821 carved into his abdomen. Number 20. Richard Braintree. Richard is known for his short temper and is often seen carrying a revolver. He is one of the few residents in South Ashfield Heights who noticed something was wrong with the building, frequently complaining to Frank Sunderland about the strange kid, the young Walter, wandering the halls. It is heavily implied through memos that Richard was a scary neighbor who once bullied or even physically assaulted a young Walter when the boy tried to visit room 302. This act of violence is why Walter chose him as a sacrifice. Henry finds Richard in the building world, trapped in an electric chair, in a nightmarish version of his own living room. Despite Henry's attempts to help, Richard is electrocuted to death by adult Walter. Before he dies, he manages to point out the young Walter manifestation across the street, calling him a monster. He is found with 1921 carved into his forehead. Thank you for watching all the way to the end. If you like this video, please give it a like and consider subscribing. Thanks, and I'll see you in the next one.